Greetings, friends. Welcome to Firefly in the Willow Yoga, and thank you for joining me for week 5 of the Yoga Foundations series. In today's class, we'll be practicing many of the same postures that we did in week 3 of the series, as well as introducing Eagle Pose. You'll have to bear with me a little in today's video as I'm still struggling with the new camera software that I have, so the color of the video and some of the lighting is a little different from usual. You'll want a couple of blocks, a strap, and maybe a chair or a wall for your practice today. So take a couple moments, gather what you need, and I'll see you on the mat. We'll begin our practice today in Virasana. If Virasana is not a pose that works for you, feel free to come to a comfortable cross-legged seat, maybe sitting up on a blanket or a block. If you're using a block to support your Virasana, allow it to be right in between your ankles. Your heels should be just a little to the outside of your hips, and your femur bones or thigh bones extending directly out of the hip socket. Once you've found your way into your seated shape, allow yourself to sit up nice and tall and really stack those vertebrae one on top of the other. You can allow your eyes to gently close and tuck your chin just slightly. Bring your ears in alignment with your shoulders. From this place of deep connection, begin to slowly reduce the speed of your breath. Taking time to settle in, to allow your breath to deepen all the way down into your belly. And allow your shoulders to relax away from your ears. Perhaps imagining any stresses or concerns that you've carried with you into this moment, simply melting off your shoulders like wax. Maybe even flowing down your arms and dripping off your elbows. And as you continue to settle in here, I invite you to reach deep down within yourself to that place where stillness and calm are always available to you. That deep place that's unaffected by the ways of the world, where you can tap into the universal flow of calm that is available to you. Feel yourself internally growing your roots down into this place of calm stability within you, and allowing the rest of your being to grow out of those roots that are grounded in this still, calm place. And now growing out of that place of stillness, we'll allow our eyelids to gently flutter open and move our hands out, slowly coming into a tabletop position. If you were using a block to support your Virasana, you may move that to the side now. And we'll stack our joints here, wrists right under shoulders, knees right under hips, and begin to come through a slow cat-cow. Inhaling to drop the belly, exhaling round the back. Inhale, drop the belly. Exhale, turning the tailbone under, pressing away from the mat. Moving with your own breath here. And now we'll bring that back to stillness in our nice, stable tabletop position. I'm going to walk the hands, a couple of handprints out in front. Turn those toes under and send the hips up high, bringing the ears in between the upper arms and beginning a slow pedal here in our first downward facing dog. Allow yourself to press into that space between the first finger and the thumb, and at the same time, wrap the upper arms outward, allowing the eyes of the elbows to face forward. It's a little imposing motion here. And if you found that gentle pedal of the feet, allow yourself to slowly bring that back to stillness, allowing the heels to sink down towards the floor, pulling that belly button in towards the spine, and then taking a slight bend of the knees, we'll shift the gaze forward and begin a slow walk up to the top of the mat, coming to our forward fold here at the top of the mat. And just allow the weight of your upper body to flow down towards the earth. Maybe imagining yourself taking root through the feet and for those roots to also grow down from your head, down towards the floor. You might like to hold on to both elbows or maybe walk the fingertips from one side to the other, coming into a little ragdoll here. If you took that ragdoll, allow those fingertips to come back down to the floor, bending gently into both knees here. We'll inhale all the way up to stand, reaching those hands up overhead if you like, and then bringing them down through heart center. We're going to move now into our first balance pose for the day. So this is our Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana we've been practicing in the last few weeks of this Yoga Foundation series. So if you have a chair that you would like to use for balance, or perhaps a wall in your environment, you're welcome to get that now. And we're going to bring our strap into a loop as we've done before, and loop that strap around the right foot, bending lightly into that left knee and allowing our fingertips to help us balance using the chair or the wall. We'll engage those abdominal muscles, pulling ourselves forward just slightly as we lift that right leg. If you need to change your grip on the strap, you're welcome to do that. And maybe you begin to bring some lightness into those fingertips or hover them next to the wall or over the chair. And then on your next exhale, allow yourself to open that right leg out to the side, finding that focal point, finding that sense of inner calm, that rootedness. Gently bending into that supporting left knee. And then when you're ready, bringing that right leg back around in front and slowly releasing it back down to the mat. Take a moment to shake that out. Let the body integrate what's just happened. If you're using your chair, you can move it over to the other side. And so now taking the strap into the other hand, again, we'll find that loop this time around the left foot. You can bend gently into that right knee, grounding down into that right foot. And then on your next exhale, bring that left foot up in front, standing nice and tall here, hovering those fingertips. And then when you're ready on your next exhale, opening out to the side. Moving in all directions for that hip joint. External rotation, so important. Sticking with it, coming back to center now. And then gently releasing back down to the mat. You can take your strap now and put it back somewhere where you'll be able to reach it later. If you're using that chair, we won't be using that again today, so you can move that out of the way. Come back to the top of the mat now. And inhale the arms up overhead, rotating the pinky fingers towards each other. And then we'll do a little reverse swan dive as we come down into our forward fold. Inhaling to come up halfway here. And then exhaling, deepening into that fold. From here, we'll bend the knees slightly and inhale all the way up to stand with a flat back. Bringing the hands down through heart center and finding the waistline. So setting up for our flow now. We're going to come into our warrior one pose first. So taking a big step back with the right leg, allowing those right toes to point up toward that right top corner of the mat. Bringing that right hip forward, dragging the left hip back, stacking the left knee right over the ankle. And then if you like, inhaling, arms come up overhead. Deep breath here. Dropping those shoulders down the back, knitting those inner or those lower ribs in here. So we're not completely opening through the front of the body, but knitting those ribs together. And then from here, we're going to extend that front leg as we bring the hands around behind, grasping the elbows or maybe bumping the fists together. And then on your next exhale, slowly lowering forward, pyramid pose. Allow yourself to really pull this left hip underneath the body, really tucking it up under there, extending through that front left leg, taking the gaze to the left toe. On our next inhale, we'll bend into that left leg, sweeping the arms up and back, coming back into our warrior one. And then on our next exhale, we'll open up warrior two. You may like to adjust your stance here. From our warrior two, we'll sweep into our extended side angle. Reaching out through that upper arm, grounding down through the outside of the right foot here. And then on our next inhale, sweeping that top arm back, extending the front leg and sweeping up through the left hand, coming into reverse triangle. Inhaling back to warrior two. And then from here, we'll extend through that front leg, shifting the hips out to the side, reaching out with that left hand and dropping that left hand down to the shin or a block or the floor. And more than trying to turn the gaze up toward the thumb here, We're trying to turn the whole body from the rib cage up towards the ceiling, pressing into the outside edges of the feet. And then engaging everything here, we'll inhale to come up from our triangle pose. Exhale back to warrior two. And then sweeping that back arm to the front, we'll come up to stand and bring the hands to heart center. If you like, you can take that block now and switch it to the other side of the mat so that it will be there for you as we come through this flow on the other side. So again, inhaling arms up overhead. We'll exhale, allowing those hands to come down to the waistline, this time taking a step back with the left leg. Pulling that left hip forward, pulling that right hip back, left toes pointing up toward the top edge of the mat. Find that stack of the knee over the ankle. Inhale, arms come up overhead. We'll extend through that front leg now, sweeping the arms around behind, grasping the elbows or bumping the fists. And then exhaling forward, center of the chest comes down. We hinge from the waist, taking the gaze over that front right toe. If you have a reverse namaskara in your practice, this is also a good place to practice that position of the hands. And now sweeping the arms forward and back, we'll inhale back up to our warrior one. And then exhale as we open up to warrior two. Sweeping that back arm forward, we'll rest the elbow on the knee here, extending out long, reaching out, feeling that line of connection, rooting down to the outside of the left foot here, extended side angle. Inhaling up from here, we'll sweep that right arm up and back, reverse triangle. Breathing into that right side body, and then exhale back to warrior two. Inhaling here, we'll extend through that front leg, shifting the hips out to the side, reaching out through that right hand and dropping down into our triangle. Again, peeling those lower ribs up towards the ceiling. Finding a few breaths here. A nice strong engagement here. We'll inhale back up, exhale back to warrior two, and then sweep that back arm forward, coming back up to stand. Exhale, hands to heart center. Take a moment here, bringing the heels of the thumbs to the sternum. Just take a couple deep breaths. Now, if you like, you can move that block back out of the way. We'll come back to the center of the mat as we set up for our chair pose. So we'll inhale the arms up overhead, allowing those pinky fingers to turn towards each other. And then as we're exhaling, sit the hips back. Now, if having the arms extended up by the ears doesn't work for you, you can always bring the hands directly out in front, or even just bring them to heart center. So take a moment here, sitting back in the heels, feeling the strength of the legs. Holding here, 3, 2, 1, and inhale all the way up to stand. Hands come back to heart center. From here, we're going to inhale the arms open wide. And as we're exhaling, we're going to bring the left hand underneath the right, bending at the elbows and coming into our eagle arms position. Staying here with our eagle arms, you may choose to either stay standing or, if you like, you can exhale back into chair pose. This is like your second bus stop here. So you're welcome to stay here, or if you like, you can begin to ground down through that left foot, lifting the right foot from the floor, and maybe wrapping the top of the right foot behind the left, or perhaps allowing the toes to remain on the floor or a block. Finding that focal point, concentration, breath, balance. And then when you're ready, unwind the arms, stepping the leg out, and exhale. Hands can come back to heart center for a moment here. Take a moment to integrate and breathe. And now we'll take this on the other side. Everyone's a little different on both sides. You may need a block to support your practice on one side and not the other. It's up to you. So inhaling, we'll bring the arms open wide. And this time, crossing the other arm on top, interlacing the hands in the opposite direction. And choosing if you'd like to stay here or if you'd like to sink those hips back, coming back into your chair pose. And staying here in this second bus stop or grounding down through that right foot, crossing the left foot over this time. Maybe finding that winding of the toes behind the calf, or perhaps supporting your toes on a block or the floor. Deepen the breath. And then on your next inhale, allow yourself to unwind and open. Exhale, hands flutter down, and then come back to heart center. Allow yourself to sigh it all out here, and then we'll come back to the top of the mat, moving any props out of the way. Inhaling, arms come up overhead. Exhale, sweeping down, forward fold. Invite yourself a little more into the balls of your feet here as you inhale up halfway. Exhale, extending back down, back into forward fold. And then planting both hands, we'll step the feet back. You can come down to the knees here. And again, if you like to use a block to support your Virasana, you can bring that in between your ankles here, or you can simply come back into a comfortable cross-legged seat. We'll come back to our Virasana here, and we're going to interlace the fingers in front of the chest, inhaling the arms up, and then letting the fingertips sweep down. Twice more here. Inhale, arms come up, opening the collarbones, opening the shoulders back. Exhale. One more time. Inhaling, arms come up overhead. And this time, as we let go and let those fingertips swim around behind, we're going to interlace them behind the small of the back and press the knuckles back and away, opening through the chest here, maybe lifting the gaze slightly toward the ceiling, or perhaps lowering the chin towards the chest. And then allow yourself to let that go. We're going to move the block out of the way. Allow the big toes to come to touch here. Reach the hands out long and sink the hips back, coming back into wide leg child's pose. Really reach out through the fingertips here. This is a very active pose, trying to take the bend out of the elbows, reaching so far forward with the fingers that you're dragging back slightly with the palms. Big deep breaths, filling the lungs, feeling your connection to the earth here, your rootedness through your palms this time, perhaps the tops of your feet as well. Growing into that place of calm. And then allowing your next inhale to carry you up. We're going to shift the feet out to the side and come back briefly to a seat and then down onto the back. So finding your way down onto your back. We'll bring the knees into the chest here, rolling it out from side to side. And then from here, we're going to allow the soles of the feet to come to rest on the floor. You can take one of your blocks. We're going to bring the heels as close to the tail as we can. And on our next inhale, we're going to shift the hips up toward the ceiling and bring that block right to the bony part underneath where the spine and the coccyx or the tailbone meet. So once you've found this stable spot, just allow yourself to relax here for just a moment in this supported bridge pose. Now this is your stop number 1 here. So if you feel comfortable here, I invite you to stay here. If you'd like a little bit more sensation, on your next inhale, press into your palms, lifting your hips a little more from the floor and turn that block up just one level. Maybe snuggling those shoulder blades up under the back now, feeling this nice extension along the front body as we invite in this back bend. Hello, kitty cat. Hello, Malari. And again, this is your second bus stop, so you're welcome to stay here. Or if you like, you can bring those heels in just a little closer, snuggle those shoulder blades up underneath the back a little more, and then lift the hips up towards the ceiling, maybe even coming up onto the toes briefly as you turn that block all the way up. Paying some attention here to what the femur bones are doing. Sometimes as we come up high into the supported back bend, the legs tend to splay open. So see if you can move those thighs in towards each other. Lifting the chin towards the ceiling and the chest toward the chin. Holding here, 3, 2, and 1. Pressing gently into those toes again. Coming down slowly, turning this down one level. Allow yourself to come to rest. Maybe windshield wiper the feet from side to side, or perhaps get walked on by your cat. And then again on your next inhale, shifting the hips up, turning that block down all the way now. Coming back down to our first bus stop. And then slowly shifting that block all the way out of the way. Pulling the knees into the chest. Rolling out that lower back, little counter pose here. From here, we'll let the soles of the feet find the floor. We're going to shift the hips out to the side, rolling to one side, pressing ourselves back up to a seated position. We're going to come into Dandasana here, or seated staff pose, maybe also known as seated cat pose. Excuse me, kitty. So let those legs extend out long in front, pulling the toes back towards the face. If you have a strap or a towel or dog leash or something here, just bring that around the balls of the feet. We're going to roll the shoulders onto the back. And then as we're exhaling, slowly lower forward over the legs. Imagining yourself pulling your torso out long over your toes. Maybe you find a little release here as you exhale, making this dynamic. Inhale to release. Exhale, deepen. Inhale, release. Exhale, lengthening out over the legs. And then on your next inhale, allow yourself to come all the way up, removing the strap. We'll shift back down onto the back here, bringing the knees back into the chest. Opening the arms out wide, we'll drop those knees over towards the right side, taking the gaze over the left shoulder. Coming into our twist here at the end of our practice. Inhaling, knees come back to the chest. And then gently lowering those knees over to the left. Mine have fallen on top of my props. Taking your gaze over the right shoulder. Knees come back to the chest now. And then we'll allow our hands to reach through the bent knees, taking a hold of the big toes or the outsides of the feet here and seeing if you can snuggle those elbows into the inside of the thighs or the inside of the knees. And if you can't quite get there today, that's fine. Just allow yourself to hold on anywhere along your shins, pulling back against the legs here, opening the hips any amount. Maybe you find a little side to side rock here. And if you did find that motion, we'll let that come to stillness as we bring the soles of the feet together, extending the legs out long. We're coming into any version of your final pose today that best suits you. If you're coming into a traditional Shavasana, snuggling those shoulders up underneath the back, allowing the hands to be relaxed and open, and coming back into your breath, into this moment, feeling the support of your mat and your own rootedness and connection through all the places on your body that are making contact with the earth, the floor. And once again, sinking down deep inside to that place of calm and stability that cannot be disturbed. If you have a little extra time to spend in your Shavasana today, I invite you to stay here just as long as you like. Otherwise, if it's time for you to awaken, begin awakening with these 3 chimes. Begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes, maybe bringing a little action into your wrists or ankles. Inhaling your arms up overhead, and then rolling to one side, gently supporting your head on your arm before you press yourself back up to a seated position. Bringing your hands to heart center if that feels reverent to you, or if you like, placing both hands over your heart. Thank you so much for joining me today for this practice, and I hope that your yoga follows you off the mat.